Kay has been with Precision Temp for a while now. Kay is one of our favorite people that we get to chat with inside the tiny house industry whenever we get the opportunity. Kay, I think you should be a panelist now. If you're able to go ahead and share your camera and your mic, and then you should be able to jump on screen here and share with everybody. Let's see. Let's see if I think she should be good to go, but I'm just going to send her a quick text just to make sure.
It's saying that my video won't start.
There we go. I hear you, Kay.
Okay.
I
Okay.
hear you. Maybe try clicking the video button one more time. Sometimes when you get promoted panelists and whatnot, it takes just a moment for it to like give you the full permissions there. But
Yeah, you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
let's see. Uh, let's see. You should be able to do it, but
I'm showing someone else on
okay.
here too with
Right.
this.
Maybe try it again. I just there we go. There you
There we
are.
go. Here I am.
Here's Kay. Awesome. Good stuff. Well,
Uh,
Kay, we're super excited to hear all the information that you have to share on your guys' water heater and also just water heaters in general. You guys obviously know a lot about the subject, so we're really excited to hear it straight from the source.
well, thank you. Thank you for you and Jason having me on. I really appreciate it. And we want to make sure that especially DIYers know that we're there to help them and we want them to be safe, but we want them to also get the best thing for their money.
Absolutely. Yep, which is important, all those different aspects there. Good stuff. Well, without further ado, I'm gonna disappear. I'm gonna turn off my screen and mic, and then you can go ahead and share your presentation, whatever you need there. I'll just be right here though if you need anything else. So looking forward to hearing what you have to share with us.
Okay, so we're going to start out with what I call a little history lesson. And let's see, just a second. Okay. When we think about tankless water heaters, we think about them being on the move. Precision Temp originally started out with theirs being in RVs, but as we know, now they're everywhere. And like it brings out, there are a number of applications. You can use them a lot of different ways. They're in rural America, they're in Canada. And when we say beyond, we really mean beyond. They can be on sailboats, so of course you can take them anywhere. They've been shipped to Netherlands and other places, just like the tiny homes, they're everywhere. When we think about it too, the first electronic controlled tankless water heaters, that was really a big thing because now they're electronically controlled, but then also they had the first pilotless, meaning your pilot light comes on, it ignites, and then you start heating your water, but your pilot light then goes off. It is not a standing one, which means it's insurable. And then it's also efficient because you're not continuing to burn whatever your source is that you are. So having those two things is really great for us. And that's part of the history of the tankless water heaters. We think about their size because they are smaller. They can be used in tiny homes, they've been in vans, they're in bunkhouses, boats, ADUs, Airbnb, they're out on farms, they're food trucks, dog groomers use them. So when we think about the different things like the farming and the dog groomers and things like that, we think in regards of animals need hot water too. They want to be warm too. And we want them to be warm because then that means they're going to be healthy. And then when you think about the other ways that the water heaters are made is they can vent from various ways. You don't just have to put it one way and say that's the only way. Many times they vent from the bottom in tiny homes. Some of them, they vent from the side where they have a door. And then some vent through the top. They're using goosenecks and other things out. And even some, when we think about boats, the thing to keep in mind is you want to make sure you get one that's classified as a marine unit so that it's stainless. And then it's going to be insurable, because many times people get them and then find out they can't insure their boat. But as we also think about these things, we want to think about the weight. How much do they weigh? You're going to add it to a tiny house, which has a weight limit, but also it's going to be easier to install. So between 25 and 30 pounds is the regular on-demand water heater. So that's most people, a lot of people can actually lift that. If not, two small people can lift that. They're like 1 cubic foot in size, and they pack power. You use a 12-volt battery for the ignition and the temperature control. And you want to think in terms of you turn the water on, the burner ignites, you turn the water off, everything turns off. You're not wasting anything like with the tank. The pilot light is standing always. So you want to make sure always that it has no standing pilot light. It's safer and more fuel efficient. And when we think about it, if it's more fuel efficient, that saves us money. I don't know about everybody else, but I can use my money for something else. I like coffee and donuts. So we can always find some extra way to use whatever extra little money that we can save. And then tankless water heaters, they run on a variety of fuels. So when we go through this, we're going to discuss those. And then the pros and cons, like Patrick mentioned earlier, when he was talking about solar. You're having solar, so right then you see that the best option is gas. And then you have the options as far as gas. You'll notice I have like the bottom here just to point out that oftentimes people don't realize, but they can actually have two systems in one. You can have a system that not only gives you hot water, but can also heat your tiny home or wherever you want to be. They can be used in barns, mechanic shops, whatever, but they can provide both your heat and hot water. I put down our information down the bottom. One thing you can always remember is if you have questions, just want to know information about on-demand water heaters, you have a certain application, is this going to work for me? Then you can always email us at service@PrecisionTemp.com. They're always there. They'll always enter your emails. And of course, you can always call and they will help you. We have Ray. We also have another gentleman that does service tech. So like one man said, we have Ray. But even if you're going to thinking of using some other product other than a PrecisionTemp, feel free to just ask them their thoughts and they'll tell you whether that unit will work. And if they don't know anything about that other type of water heater, they'll definitely tell you they don't know. So when you go to consider what unit you want to use, you want to know what you're going to use your hot water for. What are your needs? How many people are there? Are there 12 people in a bus? So that's something to consider. Then what units are going to be able to provide enough water for a family of 12? And that's actually very possible to be done. And then what's your other hot water usages? I'll need to wash dishes. What are the things that we're going to use hot water for? Are we going to be, giving our pets a bath or different things? So we want to make sure what we really want. And then one thing that most people do not know is they often think in terms of a shower. So many people, they have a shower. We know about that, it adds weight, but some people really prefer a bathtub. And one thing that you want to know is if that's something you really want is a tub, then think like that before when you're picking out your on-demand water heater, because you can actually use the on-demand water heater to fill a claw bathtub. And this is already being used. You can research it. And there's YouTube videos of them being used. And then fuel sources. We've heard some about solar. We've heard about electric, the propane, natural gas, diesel. So you want to think about where are you going to be and what's going to be the best for you and what's going to be the most efficient. Is natural gas already there? Are you going to be in a community? Then you might consider that. You know, are you going to be with somewhere where it's warm all year and that you could use an electric one and it'll be efficient? Because you have to consider, you know, where you're going to be, what your source is. If it's very cold, then you'd want to make sure that an electric on-demand water heater is going to perform well enough to heat when it's very cold. You can't, if you move from Florida to South Dakota and you have an electric water heater, there's a big chance you're going to have problems. So make sure you really consider what you're doing so you don't end up having to replace things. Changing out systems is always very expensive and time consuming, as well as frustrating because you don't have hot water. Then what's your water source? Think about what your water source is, and just when you're calling and checking on whatever on-demand water heater you're going to use, let them know. Well, is there anything special if I'm, you know, using well water, if I'm using whatever, and then how are you going to bring it into the on-demand water heater? Will it be a hose? What are your hookups? So anyone that you're considering, you should be able to take these questions and ask them and let them give you answers. You want to answer your question, and how many people, and you go through and answer your questions, but then go to whichever one you want to use and have them also answer those questions with you. So you get what you really want and need. If we're off grid, always think about that. Are you going to be off grid all the time or only sometime? And then you can get the unit that's going to work best for you. Are you going to be on a foundation? Okay, what's the best options for you? And then keep those things in mind. But I would really encourage you to really answer your questions first and then go to that company and ask them the same questions to make sure you get a good match. Then what to look for in a good on-demand water heater. On-demand water heaters are like anything else. There's lots out there, but to make sure you get what you're paying for. You're going to install this or have someone install it. So that's already your time and energy and money. Now you're paying for the unit. You want to make sure you get what you want and you need. And does it have the highest output? Meaning, what are the BTUs? Is it efficient? Does it have a standing pilot light, which is going to be always burning some kind of fuel? Is it reliable? Do you know you're going to turn it on? You're going to hear it come on, the water is going to be hot. You'll know that it's reliable if you wait a few minutes after you turn on hot water, just a few minutes, and you'll have hot water. You won't have it instantly because you already probably have cold water in the line. You got to let the cold water come out, and then the hot water will come up. Is it dependable? Check the reviews, check YouTube videos, ask questions. How much do they weigh? Are they lightweight? Because you're going to travel with these. Or even if you're installing it yourself, you want something that you're able to be able to pick up and do, and that's not going to be overwhelming. And for the most part, when it's compact and lightweight like that, we have women that install theirs, and we have, you know, there's not, it's very easy. I'm older and I can't live a lot, but I can pick up a unit and I can move it around enough that I could set it up into somewhere. So just keeping those thoughts in mind will help you get to go a long ways. And being quiet, you know, when you're going to be out in different places, that's going to be one of the things people are going to know. Are they going to hear every noise or anything coming from your water heater? You know, and because that makes a big difference. If you're in some RV campgrounds, there is noise limits and you don't want to have any problems. You want to be able to just have nice hot water. And again, easy to install. It should come with whatever you need to install. It should have an installation manual. It should be online for you to be able to look at the install manual, and then have somebody that you can follow up with that can actually tell you how to install it, or if you have a question. We know sometimes things can be, when they're written, they can be a little, what I call techie. I don't understand that. Just give it to me in English. And maybe it's something very simple. So knowing that it's easy to do. The next one is easy to service. Some units are what they have as raised walls, meaning it's on there, you're going to have to literally cut it apart to be able to service it. And that can be a real issue. One thing, many people will not service them. And then the other is once it's taken apart, it's never going to look or be the same. And you want to make sure you're able to service it, because if you want to winterize it, you're not going to use it for a little while when it's cold weather. Or if you need to check if they're in tiny houses, RVs, anything that's jostling around, it's like anything else. It's like your dishes in the cabinets. They can get rattled. So you may have to unscrew the side or take the door off to be able just to make a minor adjustment. So you want to keep that in mind, that you are going to want to service it. Some of them have hinge doors. And so you want to make sure that how accessible is it to get into what we call the guts of the unit, because then it makes it easier for you. Or if you do have to have somebody service it, time is money. It's going to be a lot easier. And in some cases, they won't service them. So that's another thing you can check and see. I don't know that much about it. It's gas or whatever, and I'm a little afraid. Can somebody help me? And so you can look to see. And you can even ask for ones. Is there somebody close to me that might be able to help me? You want to make sure that the unit is certified, because just like the rest of your house, it needs to be certified and recognized. Those certifications should be recognized by like the RBIA, tiny home builders, the ones that's going to be, they recognize. And now that the communities are getting more and more close, so to speak, look to see if they have more than just the US, like the ANSI. Do they have Canadian coding, and are they certified in Canada? So that's something to really look at and see, considering where or what you might want to do with your tiny home. Perhaps you're buying it, but later you may sell it. Perhaps you're considering maybe you're close to Canada, or even now things ship everywhere. Would someone there want to purchase your house? So having those things in mind. And environmentally friendly, wanting to make sure that whatever fuel source or whatever you're doing is good for the environment, making sure that it's safe. What emissions are coming out? You know, are these awful smells coming out? Is something going to get too hot? You know, certain things like some diesel with the fuel, the venting can get very hot. It can cause fires. So you just want to make sure how you're doing things and make sure that it's going to be good for where you're at. Make sure the pricing, and make sure you look at the whole pricing. And we're going to talk about that a little later, to make sure we're actually comparing apples to apples. And then remember, if it's made in America, then you will be able to have it serviced, probably here somewhere. But just ask, where is it made? Where's the service? Call and just see, even before you, as you start looking, call the company. How easy is it to get to somebody? Will they be there before, during, and after? So they can help you know if their unit is really the best for you. Then we're going to talk about why propane or natural gas over electric or diesel. And as Patrick brought out earlier, one of the things about electric, solar, it pulls a lot and it's not really as efficient. And normally they don't work as well. They don't produce for as long a period of time. And then when it comes to diesel, you got that smell. Unless you've been a truck driver or you like a pilot, you probably don't like that smell too much. But with diesel, it does have that. Diesel is usually higher priced, and then it also has the clacking or rattling. So that's something to think about, which, you know, where you're going to be is the quiet going to be an effect around your neighbors if you're in campgrounds and things like that, and even the smell. So just making sure what is best. And like it's brought out also about clean burning. Then again, we're being environmental friendly. Propane is usually readily available. Oftentimes, wherever you are, you can even have it delivered if you're parks or different places. But a small grill propane tank is easy to pick up. It's easy to take with you. It's accessible anywhere. You can have them refilled and they last a long time. So that's usually something that you can do. Now with the communities and even people doing ADUs, natural gas is now more accessible to people with a smaller footprint. And so that's something you can look at. You can actually get natural gas units. So consider those also as you're doing. And then you want to be going down here to compare apples to apples. Don't get shortchanged. And what you want to look at is what is the whole unit cost and what are you really getting for that price? And how much water are you going to get? Some of them are short term. You may only get 20 to 40 minutes. Some of them, it's endless. But you want to make sure what you're really getting. I just used our pricing because that's what I know. But I know that all of ours comes as one thing. You get the unit, the door comes with it, if it's the door model. If not, then, if it's an NSP, it's all enclosed. But the others, I noticed oftentimes, you're paying for a unit, you're paying for the door, you're paying for the install kits, and then you're paying freight. Now, some I've noticed, and this is something to really be aware of, is as DIYer, you may want to do it yourself. Be very careful because some that you may do that to may actually void your warranty on their unit. So make sure that if you're going to do that, that it's okay and it's not going to void your warranty. Most are similar in that they have the warranty parts and labor for 2 years. That's covered under your warranty. And again, service. You really want to make sure that you're getting service. Check to see how easy and does it cost you? Some places charge you for service, even just to ask questions or for them to help you find out if you have a small problem. So make sure that you check to really see that you're going to get your money's worth. And this is just to let you know that you can use it in a claw bathtub. You should be able to do that. It's endless. As long as you got water, propane, natural gas, whatever you're using, you should have hot water. And then just a quick let you know, you can always have a shower. And there, it should be endless. And these are things that just look for in any of your on-demand water heaters to make sure. So and being with PrecisionTemp, we always like to let people know we are here. We're in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we have service. We always say we have Ray. So Ray is always very helpful. If he ever has any problems, you have anything you need, our president is also our inventor. So we hope that you'll think about it, consider it, but please be sure to do your research. And by all means, feel free to reach out to us if you want to just have your questions answered. This time I will go back up here just a little bit to look and see, just to really think about considering where you want to use it, what you want to use it in. Again, just have that thought in your mind. How big is it? Where do I want to put it? So then how do I want to install it? Units can't be hung. They have to be, because that would be not safe, unsafe. So depending on what you're doing, you want to make sure. And those are all questions that any of the service techs that you're talking to should be more than willing to help you. And I believe we're almost down to the last few minutes. I'll go back out of here and I'll see if there is any questions. Okay, and there, I like this question. Generally, do you install one unit that provides hot water for different places in the home or have one per hot water site? So normally what you do with a tiny home, you only need one on-demand water heater. If you're going to try to do a bigger house, you would not want, I don't know about other companies, but PrecisionTemp will tell you, you do not want their unit. It won't be efficient. It's made for small footprints because the more pipes and you put in, then that's reducing the efficiency. It would work, but it would be like very inefficient. It's like being in a two-story house. The more you have to have the pipes go up, the longer it takes for the hot water to get up to the second floor. So if anybody else has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them if I can. If I can't, I will tell you how to reach out to Ray. There was one thing I was supposed to, I wanted to make sure I mentioned, um, because Zach and Jason has always been good, so kind to us and good to us. We wanted also to mention that because of theirs, we want to make an offer to anybody. They can use the coupon code TINY100 and it'll take $100 off any of our units. And I think someone asked about combo. Okay, the combo unit, yes, because a lot of people are like, we didn't know you had a combo unit. A combo unit is one that provides hot water and heat. So you can have both systems within one unit. It can come with blowers. And I know somebody mentioned something about baseboards, but because these are small, and we always recommend the junior. We have a twin temp junior and a twin temp 2. For most tiny homes, RVs, whatever, we always recommend the junior because the twin temp 2 would be too much heat. So it's something that it's been around for a lot of years. And more people are going with them now because they can get 2 systems in one. And it's a unit like our on-demand water heaters that last for years. And when we're talking years, I talked to him the other day, he has had his for 15 years. So our units are made to last. And so we want people to enjoy our units. But make sure whoever you're talking to or whatever company you're dealing with, that they want the same thing. That you all are on the same page about what your desires and wants are. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And we all keep learning it. And I know very small compared to what I'm sure, many of the people that really know about the tech and things like that. And some of those things, the technical parts of the unit. So
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much, Kay. Really appreciate the insight that you shared and just kind of telling people, to do the research. That's really important when you're looking to make a purchase like this for your tiny home because it's obviously not the most expensive part of the tiny home, but it's also not, the cheapest thing you're going to be putting in your tiny home. But most specifically, you don't want to be putting in a second one if the first one breaks, or you don't want to have to, buy it twice. And so if you can just buy this one time and just get something that actually is efficient. And then also, kind of like you're saying, is compare the purchase price because a lot of people will sell their units as kind of like individual parts, like maybe not include the front door and different things along those lines. So then you're thinking you're getting a cheaper cheaper water heater. You're actually not. You're going to probably spend the same amount, if not more, and you're going to have to then piece all the units together and whatnot and make sure that you're not messing up on an accident, buying the wrong door for your unit and all that stuff. So it's important, but
and another important thing is, I don't know how many calls I've got from guys going, my wife is not happy and she said, get this thing out of here. So can you give me one today?
yep, yeah, no, that's important.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
keeping the family happy is a big deal.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it's really important. So you want to make sure that able to keep the water hot when you need it hot and so on. So it's important. But really appreciate your time jumping on here. It's been a lot of fun, and glad that you're able to kind of walk us through all the ins and outs of everything that people need to know about when they're looking into researching researching water heaters and whatnot for their tiny house. So really appreciate the time. Thank you so much, Kay.
Oh, you're quite welcome, and thanks for having me.